Hello, everyone. Today's guest is Rob. It's his second time on the show.
Robert who, Zach?
Robert Degle.
All right. He's been in Vietnam for a couple months now. Been living in Ho Chi Minh. He's been acclimated to the city, so he has a bit of perspective on what's going on here. He's done seminars around the country, traveled a bit in Asia, and he's got lots of hilarious stories to tell.
Lots of funny stories and some future plans on how he's going to further. Welcome to the Saigon Saga, where we cover combat sports in Vietnam and have fun while doing it.
Do you guys know that song "One Night in Bangkok"?
No. Can you sing it
It's
for
a
us?
classic song. It's like "One night in Bangkok makes the hard man humble. Not much between despair and ecstasy. I can feel an angel walking next to me," or something like that, right? Saigon needs a song like that, so I can send to my friends, be like, "This is what it was like today in Saigon." That song captures the city of
So if
Bangkok.
we need a song, we need a singer, and we have...
No, bro, no.
So,
Serenade us now.
so what are some of the Saigon moments that you've had? Like the yeah, I'm in Vietnam moments.
What would you include in this song based on your experience here?
It's got to be about like motorbikes have to be a part of the song, right? Like, and it has to be like, you know, it's got to be like a middle-aged Vietnamese woman with 4 poodles on the back of her motorbike, and then a guy next to her with like 4 steel poles and no shirt on, smoking a cigarette on the way to a construction site, and somehow it doesn't hit anybody and no one dies.
Yeah.
Stuff like this.
Yeah. What about so tell us about your motorbike. 2 months ago, you were paying $15 an hour so you wouldn't die.
No, $15 per lesson. That's a good expense, bro. That's a good expense to learn it safely.
Yeah.
$15 is nothing.
At one point, you were scared to death of the traffic, and you're like, I don't know about this city. Now you're a little different. What is it?
Yeah, I mean, I ride around everywhere now. Like, there's no part of the city that I don't feel unsafe riding anywhere. Now, that doesn't mean I want to ride in specific areas. Like, I went to Arcane last night in D7. I rode all the way down there from here in Tao Dien. And, like, I went through An Phu, and there were parts of that ride that were not fun. Like, so I went through some, like, sort of more backwoods
Yeah, I know
type
exactly what
areas.
you're talking about.
Less paved.
I know.
Yeah, less...
So if like Vietnam traffic had like a belt system, you know, where do you think you'd be?
I don't want to give myself a belt because I don't know. I'm purple belt, maybe.
Purple belt. Wow.
I mean, I
Quick
would
turnaround.
You had an endorsement. You had a recent endorsement by an old Vietnamese man on the sidewalk.
Old Vietnamese man. I was running on the sidewalk. He said I was a good rider.
The highlight of Rob's week last week.
Yes. Yeah.
So besides the traffic, like, how's your routine here in Vietnam, and how's that compare to, you know, what you'd be doing if you're living somewhere else?
It's pretty much the same thing. I don't really change too much about what I do. I try to train twice a day. Today I'm only training once because I felt pretty banged up, and like I have a tournament next weekend, so I don't want to push myself too much. So I skipped the 12 p.m. session at Over Under today. I felt actually super guilty about it.
Yeah.
Because that's like my main session, and I really don't like to skip it, but I just felt like I had to. I feel like I trained a little bit too hard yesterday. I did the 12 p.m. and then I did Arcane. And also when you add like the ride, like it does take a toll on your body.
Yep.
So yeah. I pretty much do the same things every day, no matter where I am. And like, yeah.
What are some of your favorite Vietnamese foods?
I eat the same thing every day.
That place you took me.
Banh mi nam nuong, Sinto Chui, Sinto Yua, and pho. That's almost all I eat.
Pho ball or pho ga?
Pho bo. Now that I know to
Ball.
say it. Yeah, I was saying I didn't know the right word. I was saying ga. I thought that was beef, but then I got chicken. I realized no, it was not. So
But how did you find out it was not beef?
I just looked at it and I was like, this is chicken, obviously. I ate it, right? It is what it is. It's not a big deal. But like, yeah, now I usually get pho bo.
Ball.
Ball. They know what I'm saying. That's
ball.
all that needs to get done. Yeah.
It's like football. It's like football.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's one of the only words I know because I say it. One
So
of the only
much.
things I say, actually.
Yeah, I'm well versed at the smoothie stand, and that's about it.
Okay, nice, yeah. Yeah, I know the words for banana and coconut, but
Yup.
I can't count.
Dude, that's the easiest.
Yeah.
That once you count, then you can start having conversations.
Okay.
And then you can be funny.
Okay.
You know.
Just get a few numbers, you'll be chatting with everyone. Don't worry. It's that easy. You just 1 through 10, and
You went through
you're
10.
fluent.
That's it.
Eventually. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Right now, I'm practicing Italian every day, so I really want to be fluent in Italian within like hopefully 2 years is like the goal that I set for myself. So yeah, hopefully 2 years be fluent in Italian.
Do you see yourself spending a lot of time in Italy and when you're older, or just?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, there are a lot of things that draw me to Italy, you know, and like, regardless of whether I live there or not, I do think that if, like, so I'm planning on voting in the next election, right? Like, I don't want to be a misinformed voter. I want to like understand. I mean, I understand Italian politics, I think, like fairly well, but I want to be able to, there's a lot of stuff that you can't really dive into unless you really understand the language. Like, I think to really understand a culture, you have to understand the language, like even just like the way of thinking. Like when you say a certain thing in English or you say a certain thing in Italian, it's not, doesn't directly translate. And that the difference in how you say it, it's hard to like explain this, but it also has, it almost like carries a different meaning. Like it's the same thing, but it's not the same thing, right? Does that make any sense? Yeah. And so like I want to, so for me, like if I'm going to like be an active participant in like I'm going to vote in the next US election as well, right? Like for me, like being a citizen of a country carries certain, you can call this like corny, but like civic responsibilities. And like to me, like, okay, I'm an American citizen and an Italian citizen. And I think I want to be, I want to live up to my civic responsibilities as a citizen of both nations. And I think that if you're an Italian citizen, you should be able to speak the Italian language. So I'm in the process of doing that. I speak well enough that I could get by, right? Like as a tourist, but not well enough that I could have complicated conversations about what like politics or philosophy. And like, yeah, I mean, I have my whole life to get better at it. So
Yeah. So you've mastered motorbikes.
I wouldn't say master. I think I'm pretty good at it now.
You're the pearl belt already.
He's driving.
Pearl belt 3 stripes.
Oh,
Look at
3
myself, 3
stripes.
stripes.
And the wind doesn't bother him too much. You
Bro,
know?
you go on that bridge and you tell me that the wind isn't wild.
I'm gonna go on that bridge. I've been riding motorbikes for a long time, and the wind has never been a factor. But,
Let me put it this way.
You know what?
I never feel insecure riding anymore. I never feel like I'm in a situation where I'm like, oh, I can't figure this out. This is too tough. I always feel like I can figure it out, right? Like, so yesterday getting back from Arcane, I got lost, and I was like, all right, I really don't know where I am. The GPS was not. Sometimes the GPS in Vietnam just doesn't take you the right way. So I was just like, all right, I just have to figure out where the fuck I'm going. So I just figured out where I was going, and like it was mildly annoying. I had to circle back again and kind of like look at the roads and stuff. I had to stop in the middle of a busy intersection, be like, which fucking road am I going on? Like, you know, but like I was able to figure it out. And I never feel unsafe doing it. You know what I mean? Whereas in the beginning I did. In the beginning I did feel unsafe. And it's, you know, whether it's just a matter of like, I think it's 2 things. It's one is just getting better at it. And 2 is I think something that Vietnam is actually very good for me is that I think it teaches you patience. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, it teaches you patience. Yeah. And I actually like that, right? Yeah. Like, okay, so for instance, if I was back home in the U.S., when someone honks their horn at you, what does that communicate? It's like they're saying fuck you. In the U.S., yes. Yes, they're saying fuck you. And here, I had to get that out of my head. Yeah. Because I was getting mad at everyone on the road. It's like, fuck you. Like, and I'm like, no, he's not saying fuck you. He's just like
trying not to crash into
you. He's saying, hey, I'm here, right? That's it. Yes. And it's like, there are times where I think people honk for no reason.
So how long does it take you to drive across Taodine these days? Just a few weeks ago, it took about 30 minutes.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
He was talking to Hume at Ram one time.
No, because I said that because that was my first time ever going there. I had no idea where it was. I want to give a window so I'm not late. But it probably took me like 10 minutes.
She was like, what's good? What's it take you? I thought you were in Taodine. He said, I am. I'm just really careful on the motorbike.
Yeah, and it did not take me 30 minutes. It took me 10 minutes at most. Yeah, but not that long.
But what about, so you're a pearl belt in motorbikes?
I would say I'm a pearl belt.
That's pretty good. I think that's
black belt.
Ambitious.
Almost a black belt.
Yeah, almost. I have had Vietnamese people tell me that I'm the most talented foreign rider they've ever seen. I'm just communicating what they've said to me. All right. Old Vietnamese men have said this to me. I've been riding around. I've been stopped by old Vietnamese men. They said, "Excuse me, sir. I just want to let you know, I've never seen a foreign rider as competent as you." And I said,
Really?
Yeah, they said it in perfect English. And I
This
said,
demographic, they're very well read.
And they use the word competent.
Yes. This one guy, he actually stopped me. He was an old Vietnamese man. He said, "Sir, you are so good at motorbike riding. I want to give you 1 million Vietnamese dong."
What the
He pulled out
fuck?
his wallet and he gave it to me. And I said, "Thank you." I said, "But you don't have to. I appreciate it." And he said, "Not only are you a great motorbike rider, you're also gracious and humble."
Wow.
Oh, dude, dude, you're not going to believe this. Dude, I just got a message from the Vietnamese government, and they said they're not going to let you ride motorbikes anymore if you don't learn how to use chopsticks.
No, that's one thing I refuse. Bro, chopsticks are an inefficient dining utensil. Makes no sense.
Oh, it doesn't make any sense.
Just use a fork, bro.
You could use a chopsticks as fork.
Or you could just use a fork as a fork, right? A fork is so much easier to use. I eat pho like I eat spaghetti. Okay?
You should see him eat pho with
I
a
take
fork.
the fork. I take the fork and I just scoop up the spaghetti and I just eat it. Like just you spin it on the fork, just like spaghetti.
Dude, I saw them making TikTok reels while he was eating with the fork the other day.
Good. Good. They'll learn something. I'm gonna revolutionize how these people eat.
What's
pho.
gonna happen first? North Korea becoming a liberal democracy, or you using chopsticks?
Well, I'm never gonna use chopsticks, so it's gonna have to be the other one. No, I just look, dude. I can sort of use them when I was in China and I wasn't able to get a fork. I'll use chopsticks, but if I can get a fork, I'm just gonna use a fork. It's just easier to use. So,
Man of convenience. Do you have a favorite
Yeah.
kind of pasta?
bolognese.
I'm more talking about the noodle.
I don't know, honestly. Like, I just know what it looks like. Like, I don't know that I'm not like a chef. Like, I just know like, oh, that one there. Like, I like the one.
I'm not sure pasta was the right word because it implies it's Italian, but so like pho is a type of noodle, mien is a type of noodle, mi is a type of noodle.
In
boon
Vietnam,
is-
I just eat pho. I mean, I'll try the other ones out for sure. But I mean, the reason that, like, for me, like, I am a man of convenience. Convenience is like a big thing for me,
Yeah.
right? Like, so I go to the same coffee place every morning. The place you guys ran into me,
Yeah.
I go there every single morning. It's just
okay,
convenient,
yeah.
right? I like going to the same pho place, the place that I went with you, right?
Okay,
Like
yeah,
that
yeah.
place, I go
Yep.
almost every night, right? Like,
Yep.
I go to the same little banh mi stand, right? And I like doing this because one, I like not having to think about it. I'm like, okay, this is where I'm going. This is where I'm going.
Yeah.
I have other things that I have to think about. I can think about those things instead of like, where am I eating tonight? And two, it makes budgeting easy. So
That's
like,
true.
I try to keep a budget of like, trying to minimize my expenses. So if I know how much my food is going to cost,
Yep.
you know, and I leave space for other things, right? Like last night I ate pizza, right? Like sometimes I'll eat other things.
at what's his name? Angelo's.
Angelo's. Yeah,
Yeah.
Angelo's is good. Yeah.
Incredible pizza.
Yeah. Best. I wouldn't
I
call
need
it.
to get back there.
No offense.
Oh,
I wouldn't
no.
call it incredible. It's good. It's
Okay.
good by Vietnamese
Okay.
standards. Yes,
Okay.
very good.
Well, yeah. If you're here and you haven't eaten pizza in a few months, you know, then it's pretty good.
As far as I mean, look, I haven't had any better pizza in Southeast Asia. I'll say that. But that's like going to Italy and being like, oh, it's the best pho that I've had in Italy, right? It's a different kind of thing, right?
So, Italian boy, but from New York. What kind of pizza do you like?
I like New York pizza.
The
The
New
best.
York slice.
Yeah, New York pizza is better than pizza in Italy, in my opinion. And they'll hate me for saying that, but I also think it's true. So
Why is that? Emotional
it's
bite?
just maybe it's just a different kind of pizza, right? Like pizza in New York is by the slice, and it's built I should say like cooked. I guess it's made differently, right? It's not, you know, typically it's less chewy. It's more crunchy in New York, and so yeah, that's my favorite.
Do you believe in the water for the bagels, for the pizza?
So I looked it up, and it is 100% true. Yeah. Growing up in New York, everyone always talks about this. Like the water quality is different and it changes the bread quality. And I didn't know if it was real, right? It sounds like an old wives' tale, but it is actually true if you look it up. So something about the mineral constitution of our water. We probably have like dirty water and that makes the bread better. Something like that, right?
In New York or Italy?
In New York. Yeah, probably in Italy too, actually. If I had to guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you eat a bagel from New Jersey?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I think New Jersey food is Eastern New Jersey near New York is the same. It's basically the same thing.
So you'd eat a bagel from the eastern part.
Yeah,
What
the
about
part
Western New Jersey?
the part near New York, right? Like New Jersey's a big state. You're gonna have parts of it that are not really New York-esque, and some parts that are. Like Cherry Hill, New Jersey, near Philadelphia, that's more like Philadelphia, right? But like, East New York, which is in New Jersey, it's gonna be more like New York, as the name would imply.
You're on a road trip, cruising through the west part of New Jersey. Would you risk a bagel?
Yeah, I wouldn't have risked it. I'd probably be good. I think the bagels there are going to be good. Yeah, okay. I'm not a New Jersey hater. I'm a lot of New Yorkers and New Jersey haters. Only thing I don't like about New Jersey is that it smells like shit. Okay, except for that, I'm not a New Jersey hater.
Oh my God,
that's not even hating. That's just like a fact.
It is a
fact.
fact.
It smells like, and the roads are terrible. They're way too hilly and annoying. Yeah,
New Jersey people get really upset when you talk shit about New Jersey.
I'm not talking shit. These are things that I think are just minor inconveniences.
I have talked a lot of shit about New Jersey.
Yeah,
and I told New Jersey people they get really upset.
I mean, New Jersey is like,
because they know it's true. That's why.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's
true.
like it's a mixed bag, right? You have the center, which is kind of like sort of almost rural. Then you have the part near New York, which is like fine, I think. And then you have the part near Philadelphia, which is like I guess it's like Philadelphia probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
go back to Italy, Italian food. What is the best Italian food in Italy, in your opinion?
I'm not an expert on Italian food. I eat it. I grew up eating it, but most of it was like just stuff my mom made, and like I couldn't even tell you what it was called, honestly. Right? Like I should learn it, but I don't really know. Yeah. Naples is one of my favorite cities in the whole world. Yeah, I think it's an incredible city. It's the Ho Chi Minh City of Europe.
Yeah. How would you compare the traffic here?
So they're both pretty bad, right? Right. They're both pretty, like I have seen tunnels in Naples that look like death traps for motorbikes. Like they are not safe looking, right? But just like here, people make it work every day, right? I think both cities, Naples and Ho Chi Minh City, there are cities that will not accommodate you. You have to change for them. And these are things that I like about these cities, actually. Like if you look at Bangkok, Thailand, okay, that's a city that is there are parts of the city that are just built to accommodate foreigners, right? Whereas for whatever reason, there are various reasons I think that you could probably propose as to why this is the case that isn't the same in Ho Chi Minh City. There are parts of it that definitely are, right? Like Thao Dien, where we are right now, is a lot of it is built for foreigners and stuff. But still, if you're going to get around, you have to learn how to ride the motorbikes, right? Whereas in Bangkok, you absolutely don't need to do that, right? You can take the train. It's very easy. And that's, in my opinion, actually a strength of Ho Chi Minh City, because it's like, yeah, like it is a little bit difficult at first, right? Like, so, I mean, I have friends who live in Thailand who ride motorbikes in Thailand who they told me like they will never ride a motorbike in this city. Like they do not feel safe doing it.
In Ho Chi Minh?
In Ho Chi Minh, yeah.
And what do you say to them?
I mean, I'm like, look, if you don't want to, you don't want to. I understand. Like for some people, it's just going to turn them off from this city. Like, I don't judge anyone for that. It's a personal choice. For me, it was a matter of like, it was a really fun challenge to overcome, right?
Yeah.
Both like just in terms of learning a new skill, but also in terms of like almost like psychology, because it's like you have to just like, if you want to learn how to do it and you're nervous, you just have to just do it. Yeah. And it's overcoming a fear. And I actually enjoyed that. And anyway, so in a sense, I like how Ho Chi Minh City challenges you. It's like, look, you have to step up to this city. If you want to live here, you have to learn, you don't have to learn how to ride a motorbike, but like, I don't see how you can enjoy this city without it. When you know how to ride a motorbike, it opens everything else up, right? It makes the city so much more enjoyable. And Naples is very similar, where Naples is a city where it's like, look, if you want to live in Naples, or even if you want to, maybe not visit, but if you want to live there, I don't see how you can enjoy that city without a motorbike or a car, right? Because there's no good public transportation. And there, you're probably going to need to learn some basic Italian, maybe even some like Neapolitan. And, you know, like I have Italian friends who are like scared of Naples, because it has a reputation for being more dangerous. And whether that's true or not, right? Like it creates this perception of the city, and then like it shapes the character of the city, right? I don't know if any of this makes any sense. Yeah. And so for me, like I love the character of both Naples and Ho Chi Minh City. There are cities that are not built to accommodate outsiders. They are what they are, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. They're like, look, this is what it is. If you don't like it, fuck off, right? Like, and you know what I mean? Like, and if you do like it, it's here, you know? And, you know? So it's like, and some people will and some people won't. There's nothing wrong with either, right? But I like that they maintain their character. So, yeah.
Which city has better food, you think?
Oh, come on, that's not even a fucking question, bro. Are you serious? It's Naples. That's not even comparable. I hate to say it, but it's true. The food here is good, I would say. Yeah.
So ADCC, you're doing a bunch of ADCCs coming up.
Yeah. So first one up for me, a week and a half from now, ADCC Sydney in Australia.
Yep. And you're doing what weight class?
I'm doing 70 kilos.
70, okay.
So for me, that would be the ideal weight class because
70.
I walk at about 72, 73. Right. So 70 would be really well suited for me, but they don't always have those. Malaysia, they told me that they will. Hopefully.
Okay.
That's actually true. But yeah, 66 is what I'll do for trials, but that cut, I want to lower my overall walking body weight, but for now, the cut to 66 is very brutal for me, and I don't want to do it. So Singapore, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to do 77 because they don't have a 70. So 70, not that hard for me to make, but it's those additional 4 kilos. And for Americans that don't know what kilos are, it's 2.2 pounds, right? I'm not mistaken. You hear Americans hear 4, like 4 pounds. That's nothing. No, it's not 4 pounds. It's like maybe 9
like
pounds.
9 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, it starts to add up. Yeah. So it's, you know, and keep in mind, I'm not cutting from 70 to 66. I'm 72, 73. So I'm really cutting like 7 kilos, could even be more actually, right? So
that's like 13, 14 pounds.
Yeah, so it's like, so for me, like what I have to do is just get my walking weight lower. If I want to do 66 and I want to actually be physically healthy, I just need to get my walking weight lower. That's all there is to it. But for now, when it's not, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to do 77 or 70. Ideally 70. 70 is no problem for me. It's those last 4, that's the hard part on my body. So so 70 is perfect for me. Any tournament that has 70, that's most likely what I'll do.
Or most of the tournaments have 70?
So Sydney will, Perth will. So I'm doing 2 Australian ADCC events, and I'm doing seminars when I go there as well. And then there's Malaysia, which I think they will. If they don't, I'll do 77, whatever. We'll see. And then Singapore will not. So Singapore is the professional weight classes only. So 66, 77, 88, etc. I'll do 77 for that because I just don't want to do it to my body. So yeah, and it's day of weigh-ins, right? So day before, like day of weigh-ins, like I mean, I don't even think I would be. So to be perfectly frank, I don't think right now with my walking body weight, I could make 66 day of and be medically fit to compete. You know, I don't think that I would be able to. So yeah, but that's for me. I have to get my walking weight lower. That's all there is to it. I'm too small for 77 when it comes to competing at a high level. So I have to get my walking weight lower so I can make 66 and a healthy.
How do you get your walking weight lower?
So I think living here is actually helpful for that because it's pretty easy to eat low calorie food and you're gonna sweat a lot. The training is very hot. So I think that it will just come naturally from eating I'm probably burning more calories than I'm eating on a daily basis, I would guess, right? If you think about the training sessions, how hot it is. So you think about what am I eating? So I usually don't eat until the afternoon. So after training. So I usually don't eat until about 2 p.m. I have a mushroom banh mi, and then I eat another banh mi, an egg banh mi, and then I have beef pho. And that's what I eat all day. And then I have like 2 smoothies, Sinto Chewy, Sinto Yua. So banana and coconut smoothie. And then I have like Pocari Sweat and stuff, right? So it's like, it's not a high calorie diet. Yeah. And then on the weekends, or if I feel like it, I eat some pizza, right? So yeah, so we'll see. I'm keeping track of my weight. I think I'm going down. I think I'm going down from, I was at like 75. Yeah. Now I'm walking at like 73. Probably, if I stepped on the scale right now, I'd be like 73. So yeah, the weight's going down. And it's not like an urgent thing either. There's nothing I need to do to make 66 until the next trials, which are going to be a year and a half from now. So it's not like an urgent thing.
Angela's for now is okay.
Yeah. After Sydney, because Singapore is 77, I could eat ice cream like the morning of and make 77. So yeah, I'm not gonna have to worry about my weight at all. For Sydney, I mean, like I still need to make 70, so I'm gonna be eating relatively healthy. But after that, it's not gonna matter. So yeah.
What's the most competitive ADCC you think coming up in the next 4 or 5?
In Asia, like this region,
in Asia.
I don't know. Maybe if there's the next ADCC Thailand, I think it's going to be in August. I think that's going to get streamed on Fight Pass. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, those tend to be the most competitive, the Thailand ones. So maybe that one.
What's the most competitive? Did the Siam Cup end up happening, or is it going to happen?
No. So they canceled the May 4th Siam Cup, and I asked the guy who runs it, do you know when it will be rescheduled? He said a date, but I don't remember. And it's like tentative right now. It's not definitive. And I don't remember. I think like June, July or something like that. But yeah, unfortunately, I like the Siam Cup. I only did it one time, but I think it was a really good tournament. But yeah, so for whatever reason, they had to cancel it.
Did it sound like he was confident it was going to be rescheduled?
It was with Instagram text, so I have no idea, right? Yeah, I don't know. And I don't want to, I don't know. The guy probably has got other stuff he's got to do.
See what happens.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, but so I have those. I have the Sydney tournament and then Singapore. Then I have a gap, another month, and then I have Perth and then Malaysia. And then May 11th, I think I'm going to referee at Asian trials in Thailand. Probably. But yeah, we'll see. Most likely, I think I'm going to. Yeah. So that'll be cool.
What do you think the most prestigious tournament is in Asia, Southeast Asia? For no-gi?
It's got to be trials.
No, I mean outside
right?
trials.
Outside of trials?
Because yeah.
I guess it would be the ADCC Thailand events or ADCC Singapore, maybe. I'd say those, right?
Yeah.
For no-gi. Unfortunately, there's no IBJJF event. There's no no-gi IBJJF events anywhere in Asia. Doesn't happen. The only IBJJF event in Asia is the Japan one, but that's only in the gi.
Yeah.
Which sucks. Like I don't know why they chose. Maybe the attendance numbers for no-gi in Asia are just really bad. I don't know, but that's how they do it. So, yeah. But for no-gi, I would say it has to be ADCC Thailand. You know, if you look at the absolute divisions, they get pretty stacked. They have guys like DJ Jackson, who's an ADCC competitor. He may have medaled in the past. Yep. I'm not sure, but regardless, even if he didn't, he's still like a very high level guy. I think he's probably the highest level guy, like on paper, who's ever done an ADCC Thailand. But yeah, I mean they get good turnouts. Right, Vinny Magalesh almost did ADCC Bali. You know the one that we both did?
Yeah.
Vinny Magalesh was signed up for the Absolute, and then something happened, and he didn't come. I don't know, but he was supposed to do it originally. He would have been the highest level competitor to ever compete at an ADCC in Southeast Asia if he had chosen to do that. Yeah,
that's incredible. I mean, it's growing fast here, so we get more and more pros.
Yeah, for sure.
Southeast Asia.
It's so one thing that's good about ADCC in Southeast Asia is that this is a difference between IBJJF. The ADCC model is they have individual national federations and they can host tournaments, right? So ADCC Indonesia, ADCC Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, maybe Vietnam someday. Who knows? Yep. That would be great. You have these individual countries that can host their own ADCC sanctioned events, whereas IBJJF, as far as I understand it, it's more like centrally organized thing, right? Where like the central organization, they're the ones hosting the events. Whereas in ADCC, it's individual regional federations. Like I know the guys who run ADCC Indonesia. They are the Bali, I think it's the Bali MMA guys.
Yeah.
The guys that are friends with Craig. Like the president of ADCC Indonesia is actually an older black belt who I think he's under Eddie Bravo, I want to say. I met him. He's the president, but the guys who actually run it are Bali MMA. Those guys like Anthony Leone and stuff.
Yeah.
And then in Thailand, it's like this guy who trains at PGA named Alex. In Singapore, it's a guy named David Uy, who is a Singaporean black belt. And then you have Shinya Kakita, who oversees everything. He used to be head of ADCC Singapore, but now he moved back to Japan. But he still oversees everything. In India, you have a guy named Siddharth. I think his last name is Sid. I know his CrossFight club, Sid. But yeah, so he's the head of ADCC India.
Yeah.
And so what's good is like you have these tournaments which spring up in these countries because you have the ability of people in those countries to run the tournament under the ADCC banner. So it can grow faster than IBJJF can grow, right?
Yes.
If that makes sense. Yeah. And then ADCC Malaysia, I don't know the guys that are running it, but we'll meet them when we go there. So
Yeah, I met all those guys in November, and they're really cool guys.
Cool. It's in KL, right?
Yes, in
KL. Okay, cool. Okay, nice.
I guess they have way more like if they want to push the promotion and like put on more events, it's up to them.
Yes.
It's like boots on the ground.
Yeah, it's better that way, I think, because no one cares more about growing the sport in a country than people in that country,
of course.
right? No one in there's no one in like the United States who gives a fuck about growing jiu-jitsu in Vietnam. Right? Let's just be honest, right? The people who care about it.
Most people
Zach
in
will care when he
most
goes
people
home
in
for
the
Christmas
US
one day.
Yeah.
He'll be over there caring.
But we care because this is where we're living. We care because this is where we're living. And and you can, and even if I leave, I will still care about jiu-jitsu in Vietnam because I made connections with people here, right?
Of course.
I don't live in India, but I care about jiu-jitsu in India because I know the guys there. I made connections with them. Like you make friendships and stuff, right? So it's like, but anyway, so it's like the people in those countries, they actually give a shit. So they're going to grow it, right?
Of course. I mean, the Malaysians, you'll see that they're very enthusiastic.
Cool, yeah.
And they put on a really good show. And their tournaments are exciting. And they've got good referees. There's good, good banter.
Nice.
It's really good.
Okay.
It's really good in Malaysia. And the Malaysians are pretty good.
Cool,
grapplers.
nice.
They're pretty good grapplers.
A ton of them are signed up for my division in Singapore. So my division in Singapore is now me and only Malaysians. There's no one else in the division.
Hey,
yeah.
When I looked at the ADCC Singapore, there wasn't many people signed up. So part of the reason why I haven't gone yet.
So
up.
Singapore is interesting in that they have probably, I'm not sure, but I would guess they have the most tournaments in Southeast Asia. But they're very catered to lower belts.
Lower belts?
Lower belts. White, blues.
Why is that?
Because there's
Numbers.
There's just a larger body of those kinds of people. Like you don't make money on tournaments for black belts in Southeast Asia because there are barely any of us.
Tournaments, just not ADCC.
They're not ADCC. It's like other events, right? ADCC Singapore, the last one they did, I won the last one they did. So I won the 77 division, the last one they did. It was like maybe almost 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago. It was quite a while ago. Because after that, Shinyo, his priority was running trials. So he ran ADCC Singapore trials, and that was where his priority was. And then he sort of handed the baton off to a guy named David Uy, who's a Singaporean guy. Uy is like such a classic Singaporean guy last name. And there's certain names, Tan, Uy, you see them all the time in Singapore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, and to have a European first name, David, and then last name Uy, so Singaporean. But anyway, so he passed the baton off to him, and now this is his first one that he's running, right?
Yeah. The tournaments, the ones in Thailand, the ones in Bali, Malaysia, from I've seen, are pretty exciting. I think we can do the tournaments in Vietnam here. We could do a better job of making things a little more exciting here. The beach tournament was pretty cool. You weren't here for that.
I saw lots of videos and pictures and stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and I think that the super fights, like the Saigon super fights, coming up is an opportunity to make things a little more exciting. Do you have any other ideas?
So I think that there's like two different kinds of events, right? The Saigon super fight event is like a super fight show, right? That's an event that pretty much the only purpose behind that is to just get people matches, right? Help our friends get competitive experience. Yep. Very, very simple, like low key kind of event. But then you have the bigger tournaments, right? Which the goal of that is twofold, right? If you're running it, the goal of it is twofold. You still want to get people competitive experience, right? At the end of the day, we're not working in like finance. You're not making millions of dollars running jiu-jitsu tournaments, right? But you also still want to make money, and that's the second goal, right? So if you're running a jiu-jitsu tournament, I mean, at the end of the day, like you're committing time to something, right? And it's very difficult to do. So for instance, like I actually have defended the IBJJF in this respect in the past. So I'm not the biggest fan of certain things that the IBJJF does, but one thing that I'll defend is people are like, they're a for-profit business. Yeah, like what's the problem with that? They're running tournaments that you want to do. They're well run. They're on time most of the time, right? The refs are usually pretty well trained and they do a good job. What's the problem with them trying to make money with it? I would prefer that they make money with it so they have a reason to continue to host and run good events, right? I have no problem with that whatsoever. So the criticism of an event as being a, oh, it's done for profit. Who fucking cares? If the athlete is getting something, an opportunity to compete and develop their skills, and the organizer is getting something, money, right? This is a win-win. Who cares, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I just think that criticism is really weak. And so, yeah, like that. But a thing like Saigon Super Fights is the goal is not to make money, right?
Yeah, of course.
Just to help grow the sport. Yeah,
absolutely.
And like at the end of the day, like if you're doing something like running an 80cc, like the guys in Malaysia, I'm sure their primary goal is to grow the sport in Malaysia, right?
Yes.
Now I'm sure they also want to make money, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think it's a good thing because it encourages them to continue to do it. Like I want them to continue to do it.
To do it more often.
To do it more often. I hope they make money. It's good for me. I hope they make a ton of money. I hope they make so much money. They're like, let's do 5 of these a year. That's amazing for everyone in the region, right? Like, so, yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is that it's like, what will grow the sport is like, you just need as many people as possible involved with it, right? Yeah. And like, it's kind of a tricky thing because you're both cooperating and competing, right? Like, so it's like, okay, you've got to kind of all work together because at the end of the day, if you don't, there's no sport. But there's also competitive elements to it. And it's not even just competitive elements between the athletes. There's competitive elements between like, I'm not going to say names, but like, so for instance, in the past, I've competed on events and then rival events who I also competed for had problems with it. And I was like, guys, like what? I'm just an athlete. I'm just trying to do every competition I can. And like, people sometimes will, this tournament doesn't like this tournament, right? Like whatever, right? Like it's like, yeah. And it's like that stuff can emerge, and it's almost inevitable to some extent. But the best thing is just, I don't have like a perfect solution to this, but it's like when you're trying to grow a sport in an area where it's not as developed out here. It's better if everyone is on good terms and growing it together, right? Like we all have the common aim of growing the sport. Yeah. So, yeah, because like, so for instance, like with Saigon Super Fights, I'm sure we're going to have matchups. I don't know for sure, but I would guess we'll have matchups between guys at like Over Under and Arcane, right? And those are 2 gyms that I'm training at, and sometimes I teach at Arcane, I teach at Over Under sometimes, right?
Yep.
But it's they maybe those guys don't train with each other, right? Like so, it's like it's almost unavoidable, right? Like you've had matches with Hip, like you were talking about, right?
Hip, Vince, a bunch of my friends.
Yeah,
because there's not a lot of people at the higher belts, really.
But the more we grow it, the more we grow it,
yeah,
the more people there will be, right? Like, yeah, like so. For instance, for me, like if I do certain divisions in certain countries, like Thailand, I definitely know some of the people who I'm going to be competing against. Like it's like there's a guy named Denny Sisti. We had one match years ago. I'm sure we're going to compete again. And I like the guy. He's a really nice guy, but he's always in the divisions, right? So it's like, you see a lot of the same people. But, the more the sport grows, the more we will see new faces, which is always a good thing. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling right now.
Oh, it's okay. But, I mean, what are some creative ways that we can further Vietnam here, the grappling in Vietnam?
Yeah, we just have to have more events, more events. And a lot of it, I think, should be built around the local guys, right?
Yeah.
The Vietnamese guys, right? Like, let's say this is not an actual person, just off the top of my head. Let's say there's a Danish purple belt living here, right? He gets a match on an event. It's not bad. Maybe he's living here. 6 months from now, he decides he wants to go back to Denmark. Okay, the progress, in a sense, has been lost with him, right? Whereas if the Vietnamese guys get matches, they're going to most likely stay here, right? Okay, maybe some of them move, whatever, but it's more likely that they stay within the country, right? Like, did you guys see Dune 2?
No, I've not seen. Not even.
I haven't seen. I don't really watch a lot of movies. I probably should watch more, but
all right, you guys have to watch Dune 1 and 2. They're fucking incredible.
Is it necessary to watch the first one?
You should. I don't think it's going to make any sense if you don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so in Dune, there's a character, Paul Atreides, who comes to this new planet and there's like a war. The local people, he becomes like their messiah, right? And at one point, there is a character who says like, our leader should be one of us, right? He's an outsider. He's a foreigner, right? And I know it sounds like silly, but I was watching this movie and I was thinking to myself, that is how it should be also in Vietnam. Like the guys pioneering the sport here should be the Vietnamese. None of us are Vietnamese, but we're trying to help grow the sport here. But something that I hope is that in time, we kind of will have an influence on Vietnamese guys who, they're doing it here, but like we're all going to work together. And the real ones who should be leading it are the locals because they're going to stay here long term. Who knows how long we'll stay here, right? But at the end of the day, the leader of the growth of the sport in this country should not be a foreigner, I think. It can be it for a time, right? But ultimately, it should be a local, right? Yeah. I don't know. It's just me ranting after watching Dune.
No, it's good. I mean, it's growing really, really fast. And I think there's a lot of motivation and drive behind it because there's these small gyms, right? They just put some masks down and like they just have a white belt leading practices twice a week because they don't have access to higher belts. You know what I mean? So there is a lot of drive and motivation in this country to do so. And I think there are a few Vietnamese black belts, but I think that they came from they got it in Germany or something.
Yeah. Well, there's Hung who got his black belt in the U.S. Right?
Yeah.
Is he the only Vietnamese citizen who's a black belt? Because there's definitely Vietnamese people who are citizens of other countries who have black belts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The short answer is I don't know, but I think that Vietnam has yet to have their first homegrown Vietnamese black belt,
right?
That started training here and went all the way up versus going to Germany or Europe or the U.S. to get a black belt. But it's coming soon in the next year or two. I think we'll have some.
Mm-hmm. And I think another thing that is a big deal for growing the sport here is just like convenience, actually, in the sense that the hardcore competitors are going to travel to compete. Like Hip went to Thailand. I'm sure Hip will he's going to go to Malaysia, maybe. Like,
yeah,
he's a hardcore
Without
competitor.
Question, he will.
Yeah, he's a hardcore competitor, right? The average guy is not going to do it. Or maybe they just literally can't, right? Like that kid V, like I love that kid. That kid is awesome. I doubt that kid can afford to fly to Malaysia, right? Okay. So it's like, how is he going to be able to do these things, right? So it's like,
exactly.
Yeah, but if it's in the country, it's a lot easier, right? So if there's an ADCC Vietnam, these guys get more opportunities. Like, where is it easier to fly? Let's say the ADCC Vietnam, let's say it's in Hoi An, right? Let's just say, right? Yeah, much easier to fly to Hoi An than it is to fly to Thailand, right? Now, it still does cost something to get there, and you still need to, if you're from Ho Chi Minh City or from Hanoi or Nha Trang or whatever, you still need to fly there, and then you need to get a hotel and stuff, right? So it's not free.
Yeah, but it's a lot cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper than going to like Kuala Lumpur or Singapore or Phuket, Thailand, right? For anyone, but especially for these guys, right? So like I'm able to go to Sydney, Australia because I can get seminars to book my trips, right? V can't do that, right? Like he's a Vietnamese blue belt, right? He's still growing, right? And he can't, if you can't speak English, you're not going to get seminars in a place like Australia. So for the guys here, the more tournaments there are, the better, right? And the tournaments, like I personally I have no interest in ever competing within Vietnam. I think it's completely pointless for me.
It is pointless.
Yeah, there's no point in it. Yeah. And it's like, so like, let me tell you guys a quick story. So years ago, I was talking to a guy. This never ended up happening, but I was talking to a guy in India who was running an event, and he was like, "Oh, we want to have you out. Would you be interested in like taking part in the event in some capacity?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I would love to come maybe ref or commentate, help you guys promote the event." He was like, "Do you want to compete?" And I was like, "Not really. Like, what? I'm not trying to be like an asshole, but like, what is the point? I'm gonna go compete with a bunch of Indian blue belts, like, and heel hook them all, and like, how does that help? How does that help the sport grow there, right? Like a foreigner comes in, fucks everyone up, and then leaves, right? Like it's like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't think that's productive for the growth of the sport there. But me coming in, maybe like lending my following to this event, right? Like refereeing, right? Things like that. I can actually positively participate in the event, right? So that ended up never happening. So whatever. But and similarly, right? Like, you know, like there was the event in the Hoi An event. I forget what it was called. I mean, I'm not totally opposed to doing something. I'd have to talk to the guys and see like, okay, what is being set up, right? But like, what I'm more interested in doing within Vietnam is growing the community and having the skill level grow here and competing outside of Vietnam, right? Competing in Thailand, competing in Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, etc., right? Like, but within Vietnam, helping the sport grow and get better, right? Like, I'd like to be involved with putting on events, right? Maybe putting on tournaments, hopefully. But yeah, because I think that's a more positive way to impact the community here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the community's growth benefits me, right? It's like I'm not like this saint, right? Like, oh, I'm just doing this stuff to help other people. I mean, it does help other people, but it helps me. Because if I'm living here and I'm training with people, if those people are training seriously, right? The guys at Over Under, the guys at Arcane, they train seriously. But imagine how much more seriously they would train if there was a tournament within the country that they could aim for and try to do. And at the same time, they're training for that. I'm training for ADCC Australia.
Or if they're able to get to an ADCC.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's a separate problem, right? For me, like, I think that it, you know, if we can help have events happen in the country for those guys, it's just easier, right? And then they're preparing for that. I'm preparing for something, maybe Australia, wherever else, right? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, we might not be competing in the same tournaments, but we're all competing. Of course. We're all preparing for tournaments together.
Yes.
Yeah. And then some of them will come. Like, Malaysia's not that far, right?
And I think like this Team Vietnam spirit that we have here with like the different gyms and coming together. Thailand was really good. An example of that, and I think Malaysia is going to be even better.
Yeah. So let me tell you guys a story that I think has parallels with what we're trying to do here in Vietnam.
Yep.
So years ago when I lived in Singapore, I went and I did the Siam Cup in Bangkok, Thailand. And I went there by myself. And when I was there, I ran into a couple different Singaporean guys. And there was only like 4 of us there from Singapore. And they cornered me, I cornered them. We got a picture together afterwards. And one of the guys, he was like, oh, it's Team Singapore, like 4 Singaporeans here in Bangkok. And I was like, oh, you mean the 3 Singaporeans and an American? And he was like, oh, you're basically one of us. And I loved that, right? I loved that spirit of like camaraderie of like, these were guys who we all trained at different gyms, right? But I had trained with them before, right? And I knew them fairly well. And we trained more after that, actually. But the point was that we all came from Singapore.
Yeah.
We're all guys from Singapore. Now we're here in Bangkok competing, right? We were kind of like, this was not our crowd, so to speak, right? Like I went against a guy who he's not Thai, but he lives in Thailand. The crowd was all rooting for him, you know, because he was their guy, right? So when we go to Malaysia, there's going to be a bunch of us Vietnam jiu-jitsu guys, right? That's going to be like our crowd, right? And it's like, maybe you don't all train at the same gyms, right? Yeah. Maybe you live in D7, so you train at Arcane or Jozu. Maybe you live in D2, so you train at Team Shark. Maybe you live... Is Over Under in D2 technically?
No, it's in Bintan.
What district is that?
District Bintan.
It's its own district. There's no number.
There's no number.
That's so Vietnam.
And now District 2 also is like not District 2 anymore. It's all Tu Duc.
Oh, yeah? All right.
It's just like combined a bunch
Tu Duc.
Yeah, this is Tu Duc City.
Man, that's when I was trying to order something. D2 was not on there.
This is not D2 anymore?
It was D2. It's officially a city within a city.
Tao Dien.
Tu Duc.
Tu Duc. We're in Tu Duc right now.
Yes.
All right. See, I've never heard this before.
This is like the city you're in, I guess.
Wait a second. Is this still part of Ho Chi Minh City or not?
I don't know. They call it a city within a city.
But Tu Duc was another.
It's like District 2, District 9, and Tu Duc, and then they combined, I think. Now you have Tu Duc City, which is like also part of Ho Chi Minh City.
I love that, by the way. I love how Vietnam just doesn't give a fuck.
We need to change this now, just so that it's less convenient for everyone to receive their mail.
The Tu Duc Talk podcast.
I think the government was like, well, Rob's starting to learn his way around Ho Chi Minh City. We're gonna make it a little more difficult for him.
I mean, it's not like I know any of the names of the roads. Like, I know how to get around pretty well, but I'm like, yeah, it's that road with that there, right? Like, I don't know the names of it. Yeah. And if I try to pronounce it, I'm going to absolutely butcher it. It's the Quang Nguyen. I don't know.
The Quang.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so, yeah, but anyway, so if you live in a guy living in D7 trains and maybe at Arcane, a guy living in Bintan training at Over Under, D2 at Team Shark, whatever, Tuduk, Team Shark, whatever, right? Like, these guys run into each other at a tournament in another country. Hopefully they see each other as like comrades in a common struggle, right? Like, oh, let's support each other. Team Vietnam, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and I really do think we have that, and you'll be a part of it in Malaysia, and it's pretty exciting for all of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Come to the other ones. Come to Singapore. Bro, Singapore is not far.
Okay, like how much is it going to cost?
I don't know, but you stay at a Hotel 81, cheapo hotel. Cheapo
Who else
hotel.
is staying there?
Certain types of people.
Oh, man. Let me take a look who's in my bracket.
Yeah, sure.
How many?
No pressure, but
Yeah.
everyone watching the podcast wants you to do it.
Oh, really?
No pressure, but
all,
everyone wants
all
you to do it.
41 of them.
Yes.
Oh, man.
No,
Yeah.
this is the biggest podcast in the Vietnamese Jiu-Jitsu community.
It is. It's the only podcast and the most.
Hold on, you didn't need to say
Hey,
that.
hey.
That was unnecessary. Why are you saying that? I'm saying
This is the number one podcast. No, listen, this is what it is. This is the number one podcast for combat sports in Vietnam's 5,000-year history.
that's a factual statement.
I know.
I love technically true statements. I love technically true statements, right? So here's a good one that has to do with Vietnam. When I first came to Vietnam ever, my technical first time ever in Vietnam was 3 hours, okay? So I had a layover.
Yeah.
I was flying from Thailand. I don't know how this worked out, but I was flying from Thailand back to the U.S. And I had a layover in, I thought it was Saigon. It was actually Hanoi. So,
it's
yeah.
in Hanoi.
So it was in
Okay.
Hanoi. So I had a layover there. I had to go through immigrations to get to my next flight, which is kind of weird. So
Yeah.
I didn't have a visa. So I get to the border and I'm like on a layover. I'm like thinking this is going to be like a formality. So I show him my U.S. passport. He goes, "Do you have a visa?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "You need a visa." And I was like, "What the fuck?" So I pulled out my Italian passport. I said, "What about this one?" And he says, "Oh, you're Italian?" And I said, "See." I think I said this on the last podcast actually. And he let me through. And what I loved about that was, it's like, it's technically true that I am Italian. It's not false, right? So I got through with that, right? And it's the same thing with China, right?
And because the Italian government helps you out in that situation by giving you a passport, now you want to learn.
Take advantage of the circumstances.
Now you want to learn Italian.
Well,
That's why.
My point is that it's like like when I went to China, for instance, it was the same thing. China, I can enter without a visa with my Italian passport until November.
Until November.
Yeah, I don't know why that's the case, but it is. It's probably a trial period. But anyway, so when I went to the Chinese border, I'm not telling them that I'm American. I'm going to show them my Italian passport, and that's it. It's technically true. I'm Italian. If they ask me if I'm American, I will also say, yes, I am also American. Yes, I am, right? I'm not going to lie about it to an immigration officer, but I'm not going to like whip the passport out, right? I used to do that. When I got to borders to be as transparent as possible. But what I realized is most of the time, you're just confusing them. They're like, what is happening right now? Like I came to the Thai border once and I was entering, I don't even remember which passport I was entering with, but I was entering with one of my passports. And then I said to the guy, I also just want to let you know, I have another passport, which I've also entered Thailand with in the past.
They're like, whoa, what?
He was like, what?
He wasn't trained for that.
Yeah, and I was like, and he just was like looking at me like, why are you showing me this second passport? And he said, so are you Italian or American? I said, I'm both. And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I have 2 citizenships.
This is in China.
This was in Thailand.
Oh, Thailand.
This is in Thailand. And he just was absolutely, it just did not register with him. And he goes, so which one are you? I said, you know what? I'm this one.
Which one do you like more?
Oh my god.
So it's like, what I learned is like, just don't, unless they ask for it. Like one time I got asked and I said, yes, it was entering the US. I was entering with my US passport, of course. And they said, are you also a citizen of Italy? And I said, yes. I took out my Italian passport. And they asked me why. I was like, what do you mean, why?
What'd you say?
I said, because I am entitled to get it legally, so I wanted to get it. And they were like, It was like he was asking me, like, well, you don't think America's enough? Right? We're not good enough for you? Right?
Which one would you rather go through? That experience again or learning chopsticks?
That experience. No,
He's dead set in his views.
no. I mean, because if you really said to me, like, I'd rather learn chopsticks.
All right.
Once you get your proficiency level up, it's way more convenient.
Learning chopsticks for me.
You'll turn. It'll just take some time.
I really, dude, it's going to be like riding motorbikes. You're going to see
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm telling you.
It's like if you said to me right now.
You don't even know what's on the other side of the rock.
What's your belt rank for chopsticks?
I think I'm a purple belt.
No,
Brother.
No, dude. I honestly think that you don't know how to use them.
I do. I
It's
just
like you
choose
showed
not
up to training
No.
and then just stop coming
There's
back.
no
Yeah.
way you use them and don't like them.
I really want. Okay, so there's two skills I'd like to acquire just so I could never use them. I would love to learn French, and I'd love to learn how to use chopsticks just so I could say I'm not speaking French because I choose to. Or I'm not using or actually Dutch. I'd love to learn Dutch so I can tell people I speak Dutch, but I'm just choosing not to. The same thing with chopsticks. Yeah, I'd love to be super proficient at them and then just use a fork because it makes more sense. It's just a more efficient dining utensil. It just makes more sense to use.
If you were to make your own dining utensil, the most efficient dining
Just be a fork.
for everything, even soup, like noodle soup.
I've eaten cereal with a fork before. It isn't that bad. You know, the back of it is like a little spoon. It's pretty efficient compared to all the other options. Yeah.
Well, of course you wouldn't use chopsticks for that.
Yeah. There you go. Chopsticks have very limited use. There's no
They don't.
You can cook with them. You can eat noodles with them.
there's
you
no
can eat rice
meal.
with them.
There's no meal where it's easier to eat with chopsticks than it is with a fork.
Noodles.
What do you
Noodles
think
are
about
so easy with a fork. Spaghetti.
You gotta like. Do
What is the difference between spaghetti and noodles? In terms of eating it? Nothing.
One you can pick up with chopsticks. The other, it's more courteous to use a fork.
But if I'm in, so let's say you're in Italy, you could use chopsticks to eat that, right?
I would not.
Okay,
do
But
it.
you could though, right?
But it's in,
Would you? What would you say if I was eating spaghetti in Italy
I
with
wouldn't.
chopsticks?
I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't give a
Would
shit.
I get some stares?
That
So
would
you're
be-
here eating
that would be
noodles,
hilarious.
trying to convince them it's okay that you can use.
No,
a
I
fork.
don't. I wouldn't care. Okay, so something I actually genuinely dislike about Italians is food snobbery. I think it's so fucking corny, bro. Have you guys seen that video of the dude eating spaghetti with chopsticks?
No.
Okay, this is a Chinese guy. He's eating spaghetti with chopsticks in Italy. This Italian guy comes over. It might have been staged, might have been fake. I don't know.
But we have the same situation here. It's just you're eating pho with a fork.
Sure, who cares in either direction? But like, who cares in either direction, right? Like, so like the Chinese guy eating spaghetti with chopsticks. This Italian guy goes up to him and he goes, "Oh, you should be doing it like this with a fork, bro. Who fucking cares? Like, let the dude eat the food how he wants to eat it. Like, it doesn't fucking matter, right? Like, he's eating essentially noodles with tomato sauce on it, right? If he wants to eat it with chopsticks, let him eat it with chopsticks. Just like if an Italian guy comes here and wants to eat pho with a fork, bro.
I think that is different, man.
No, it's
but it's different.
not different at all. It's the same thing.
It's
It's
different
the
because
inverse.
it's because you're in. It's in like thinner liquid and with the pho here.
I
It's
have
easier.
never had a situation where I'm eating pho with a fork and thought to myself, you know what? This would be way easier if I had two sticks in my hand. It's so easy with a fork.
It's the uncontained just courtesy of them to provide you with your.
They
preferred
have the
utensil.
forks there. I
Yeah.
make a little hand sign. I go like this. I go,
Have you?
and they give it to
That's-
me.
But they will give it to you.
Yes,
I
but
can't
have you
imagine
had
getting a pair of
any-
chopsticks in Italy.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, this guy brought it, I guess, right? But yeah.
But you've had like early when you came here asking for four. How many times have you asked for a fork?
I
at a
just
Vietnamese
make the
place?
hand sign. I go like this. I go like that.
West side.
This west side.
But how
At
many
least-
times did it take for you to come up with that?
Not that much, to be
Did,
honest.
did you ever have to use Google Translate to ask for a fork?
No, I just say
okay.
fork. I've never had someone not know that word. Yeah. In China, they didn't have forks. That was different. So I used chopsticks in China out of necessity because I had to. Yeah. Yeah.
And what did that look like?
It was fine. Did you see I did an Instagram live.
It was like
I was eating. I mostly was able to do it. It wasn't that
you're
bad.
using both hands.
I think by the third day, it was pretty efficient. By the third day, it wasn't bad. Yeah. I just to me, it's like, why learn? It's using chopsticks is a lot like learning Dutch. Why? What is the purpose?
What?
Let me ask you this. What is the value of learning the Dutch language? What's the value of it? Every Dutch person speaks English. It's a redundant language. We could do away with it and the world would be no worse off for it, right? So why learn it? It makes no sense, right? Just like with chopsticks.
And they all speak like 4 languages.
Yeah. Dutch people almost all speak English. So
yeah, of course they do.
Yeah. And so I have friends that have lived in the Netherlands for 10 years that don't speak Dutch.
Yeah.
They just speak English, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. There is almost no one on earth who you need Dutch to communicate with. If you speak English.
Okay, so the world does not need the Dutch language.
The world does not need the Dutch language.
The world does not need chopsticks. What else?
The world, I'm going to stop right there. Yeah. So those things. Yeah. But anyway, what else do you guys want to talk about?
Anything you'd like to share with the world? It could be about jiu-jitsu or not. Preferably funny.
Anything exciting coming up in the next week or so?
I mean, pretty much talked about it, the competitions that I have coming up. What about for
Yeah.
you guys? What's next for the Saigon Saga podcast?
Just putting out weekly content,
Yeah.
trying to keep the viewers happy.
Yeah, just improving and getting more. Really, the purpose is to expand the community. Find opportunities to expand the community, right? And I think that the super fights is one of them. We can cover the super fights, gym visits, especially these gyms that don't get any much attention. We're going to go on Friday.
What are the gyms that? So let me tell you about the gyms that, what I would consider the best gyms in the city, and because I feel like there are other ones that I'm missing. Let me tell you what I think are, and then I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. Like what other good gyms there are out there. So I think that you got Team Shark.
Yeah.
Team Shark D2 over under Bintan. Then you have, and I know what's like the smaller gyms like Tao Dien Jiu Jitsu. I've heard there's like a French guy teaching classes there. I never met him, but I walked past that gym one time.
Yeah.
It's right in the middle of Tao Dien. Like it's actually
It's a K1. We used to do we used to do wrestling there.
I ride bikes by it every day. Actually.
They have Muay Thai and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. But so there's that there. Then there is Mode is also in D2, right?
D7.
D7.
It's very close to Arcane.
Ah, okay. Okay. So
Yeah,
then you have
yeah.
Arcane and Jozu in D7, right?
Jozu, Mode, and Arcane.
Arcane. Yeah. Yeah.
All the 3 of those.
Yeah, in D7. And then you have, I know Hung has, I think he's in D3, I want to say.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Vincillum?
The D3 submission.
No, that's a
grappling?
different place. So this is Vincillum, is Hung's gym.
okay.
Yeah, then there's D3 submission grappling. That is the brown belt, the big Vietnamese brown belt guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's his name again? I forget. I asked him if he wanted a match, and he said yes. On
Really?
Super fights. Yeah, I think he'd be a good person to have. I'm aiming for 8, so I think that's a good number. That puts us at about, so if they're 9-minute matches, 6 minutes, 3-minute overtime. Yeah, that puts us at about 2.5 hours with breaks in between. So I think that's a good number of matches. Could do more, could do less, depends on who's interested.
All the matches are going to have the same rule set, or depending on the matchups?
I'm telling people that if they want to do a rule set, suggest it to me, and if we can get you an opponent that wants to do it, gi, no gi, submission only, ADCC, mud wrestling,
EBI,
whatever.
Turkish oil wrestling.
Yeah,
whatever's
Turkish oil
next.
wrestling. Yeah, whatever you want to do, right? I seriously,
And you said you never compete in Vietnam.
I'm not gonna.
You're not going to do the Turkish oil?
Oh yeah, that'll do.
Come
Yes.
on, man.
Yeah, it depends on the opponent. we
would
can
you
get for me.
would you
Specified rule sets, he's in.
would you do like sand wrestling, beach wrestling?
Maybe, probably.
It's
not.
very different.
Yeah,
just for an experience kind of thing.
Maybe I thought about doing that when I was in Singapore. There was a beach wrestling event, and then I just wound up not doing it. I don't remember if I did something else that day.
What about Vietnam local wrestling? They have their own style.
Yeah, probably not. I've never even heard of it. I don't know what the rules are and stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Don't worry about the
For me,
rules.
it's-
Just do it.
Just get you.
That's what I want. That's what I would like to do it just to do it.
It'll be okay.
Maybe I don't
Just
know.
to make it has nothing to do with jiu-jitsu at all. It's just that.
It's actually just ping pong. You just
I just want to do it. I just want to try it.
you actually get there and it's arm wrestling.
Vietnamese local sport.
Yeah.
We don't have to tell you which one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so just furthering grappling, and we were awarded one free slot ADCC.
ADCC Malaysia.
ADCC Malaysia. We've been working with them.
Why don't we have a tournament? We don't have to do this, just an idea. Why don't we have at the Saigon Superfights event a 4-man bracket? Winner gets that.
Yeah, absolutely. So May 4th, Saigon Superfights, and there's going to be a small tournament, and the winner gets free registration at ACC Malaysia. That's going to happen on
And $1
June
million.
$1 million or $1 million?
$1 million dong? It's not
Oh,
unrealistic.
sorry, I meant to say dong. Yeah.
Yep. That's right. And
Plus, for the referee, your brown belt on the motorbike,
Almost a black.
white belt on the chopsticks,
Purple belt on the chopsticks.
black belt on the grappling.
but are you able to give certification? This is serious.
Yeah.
About motorbike certification here in Vietnam.
Look, I will say, like, let's
Talking about things that don't matter. A traffic light here. It's there. It is true. It is
How many
there.
old men have randomly complimented your motorbike riding?
Dude, I've been told. I didn't want to say this because I didn't want to hurt your feelings.
Do you get it a lot?
I just wanted you to feel good, but I was told 7 years ago that
fuck.
I was better than the Vietnamese at riding motorbikes.
all right, well-
I'm not joking.
Oh, you've crushed my hopes and dreams.
I'm literally, but I didn't want to, Rob. I didn't want to. That's
Really?
why I didn't say anything.
All right, thank you, Zach. I appreciate you comforting my ego like that. Then I guess I shouldn't.
Rob celebrates things like this. I'll get a voice message from Rob. He'll be like, I rode D1 on my motorbike today.
Bro,
By myself.
that's a big fucking deal, dude. Those things, dude, these are milestones. Look, I didn't want to have to say this, but I got a letter from the government.
Yeah, what they say.
They said, listen, your motorbike riding is so good.
Can you do a seminar?
Yeah, they said, we want you to teach the police how to ride the motorbike. They said, you are so good. We're making you police chief of Ho Chi Minh City.
Is that what they told you when they gave you their first motorcycle?
Of traffic laws.
I didn't tell. Rob doesn't know this, but this is no bullshit. The first motorcycle I bought in this country was from a police officer, and they left the police tags on it. It was a Yamaha 250, like a hog. I had it for like a year. I'm not joking.
So you work B class
It
at
had
this point. You can certify other people.
Look at
You were a
the
police
license
officer.
plates. Look at the license plates. If you see a blue license plate, it's a government vehicle.
A white guy, why would a white guy have
Can you
that?
imagine?
What do you think they were thinking? Like, this man is like,
I don't know. I literally bought it from a police officer.
but what do you think was going through their heads when they saw that? It was like, this man is
Undercover.
is undercover Vietnamese. You could be half.
He's wearing a mask.
Doesn't Zach look like he could be like half? You look
No.
to me, you do. If you said to me you were half Vietnamese, I'll believe it.
Are you fucking
Or a
serious?
quarter Vietnamese.
I mean, look, I know my.
Zach looks like he's from Virginia.
I know that, like, it sounds like I'm fluent in Vietnamese. I know that, right?
I actually,
I understand why you.
I am
speak that
fluent
now.
in Vietnamese.
Zach, where's the Vietnamese national tournament?
Sinto Chui.
It's a Canto.
Sinto Chui Va. Sinto Yua. Va. Sinto Yua. Gam on.
Let me ask you this question.
Gam on M. Gam on
Kam
An.
Un. It's Kam Un.
Gam on Jia. No, listen, you're speaking with the northern
It's
accent,
Kam
okay?
Un. No, that's the same.
Listen, you just
Okay.
listen to how I pronounce. You'll pick it up over time. It's-
Look, okay. How would you ask for a coconut smoothie in Hanoi?
Come on, I'm not answering that question.
Go. Come on, dude.
It's too obvious. It's too obvious.
It's too obvious.
I don't want to insult our viewers. All right, come on. Come on.
Listen to me. I didn't want to tell you this either, Rob. But they speak the correct dialect of Vietnamese in the north, in Hanoi, where I'm from. And they sent me here to the south to correct all y'all's Vietnamese. You know.
On that note, it's time to end the podcast.
All right.
Thanks for coming,
Hey,
bro.
Rob, hey, thank you so much. And we're all happy that you're here in Vietnam.
Yeah,
and-
for sure.
And really see
Oh, and
you
let me end with this actually. So, I don't know. I should have brought this up earlier. Actually, man, I cannot emphasize how much I do enjoy it here. Like, this is. I was thinking of this yesterday. So I have lived in 5 countries. So I've lived in the U.S., England, Singapore, Thailand, and now Vietnam. And I think of those 5, Vietnam is It might be my favorite. It's hard to pick. Like at the end of the day, every country has advantages and disadvantages. I've liked certain things everywhere that I've lived, but I do genuinely think of all the places I've been, if you said to me, where were you the happiest? I think I'm happier here than I've been anywhere. Like I really love it here. I should have said that earlier. Yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah, but I just feel like very relaxed here. I feel like it's just such a nice place to live in so many ways, and I'm not sure how long I'll be here. Yep. I'm planning for at least a year, but I maybe longer. But I will say that even if it is only a year, I really like it here, and I'm enjoying my time here. So
yeah, this is the Rob Degle era of Vietnam Jiu-Jitsu, and it's great. And it's great. Yeah, that's right. Come on. Subscribe to the Saigon Saga to follow the amazing story of combat sports here in Vietnam.